FP1 brakes covers at the Ardennes Forest, and we're here for the Belgian Grand Prix. But we need to start things off with the news that has come out from Max Verstappen and his reports with Ferrari. Max Verstappen has confirmed that Ferrari did indeed not want Carlos Sainz in the team for this season, and Verstappen has also admitted that he wanted a teammate clause within his contract. Now, a couple of weeks ago we found out that Tom stated that Ferrari never wanted Sainz as a part of the team. Tom was left with no drive at the end of the season after Ferrari decided to move on from Tom. Tom was very happy with Carlos Sainz as his teammate, but he wasn't happy with the direction that Ferrari wanted to go in, and he tried to rule it in towards a favour which he thought was better for the team, but Ferrari took that differently. Ferrari then wanted to have one of the most deadliest duos in Formula 1, Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Now, Lewis Hamilton joined the team and was happy with everything that was set to go on. Max Verstappen though, when asked by Ferrari to join the team, had a teammate clause within his contract. He didn't want Tom to be at the team, but that was absolutely fine because Tom was removed from Ferrari. He also, however, did not want Lewis Hamilton in his team as well, as he thought two alphas wouldn't work in a team. This was something that Ferrari were very torn about. They didn't want Carlos Sainz at the team anymore, but crucially they did not want to accept the contract clause that Max Verstappen had offered. In the end, with time running out, Ferrari decided to opt against picking Max Verstappen, and they went ahead and left him out of the way and decided to keep Carlos Sainz, something that they didn't want to do. Tom decided to speak up about this a couple of weeks ago and state that this was indeed a true story. Ferrari hit back though very aggressively, stating that everything was fake and that this is very poor from Tom to be stating this, and that he needed to apologise immediately. Tom, however, didn't do this. Now, the story sort of blew away a little bit, but it's obviously come back in full swing, with Verstappen confirming all of this. Verstappen stated that Ferrari did not want Sainz, but Verstappen was left leaving the team after his contract clause was denied. Max says that he actually told Carlos Sainz that Ferrari didn't want him much earlier in the season. However, Sainz thought that this was a very silly little mind game. This was when Ferrari were at their strongest. Now, with this still rolling on and with no one knowing that this was going on, Max went over to Tom a couple of weeks ago and started discussing the contract situation at Ferrari and whether they should speak up about it, as it was clear that they were getting away with this and it could escalate towards the end of the season. Tom and Max, with both of them having their own issues with Ferrari, decided to go ahead and agree to this and have spoken up about this. We now need to await the response from Ferrari, but crucially from the man that's been left out of this entire situation, Carlos Sainz. What's he going to think about this, and how are Ferrari going to respond and react later down the season with one of their key drivers very much in the spotlight without him truly knowing what's going on? Taking a look at the race news then as we head into the Belgian Grand Prix, it was Ferrari and Red Bull that were setting the pace here at the Ardennes Forest, with Red Bull top of the timesheets in FP2 and also in FP1, giving them a perfect Friday, but Ferrari hit back in FP3. Jaguar once again were continuing to show what they have shown all season long, and that is some great long run pace. Jaguar has been a team that's been struggling to get the car to work in qualifying modes. However, when it goes to putting the fuel in the car and chucking the tyres on to go a longer distance, Jaguar are definitely a team which are able to just thrive. Now, looking at the rest of the field, Ford are a team that are very much struggling with rear-end instability. It's really cost them a lot of time in the middle sector. Now, Ford say that this is down to the fact of setup with regards to trying to get the car balanced for this track. Belgium is one of the most difficult circuits to get a proper setup right in, as you've got multiple long straights being in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but a very tight and twisty and technical section being the middle sector. Trying to balance downforce with a mixture of low drag is something that Ford have been working hard on all through Friday, but it doesn't appear to be that they've actually got that one right. One team that may actually have got it right is Renault. They're very happy with their setup. Both Tom and Gasly stating that they're very pleased with the way that the Renault is performing. They believe that they're still losing quite a bit of time in the middle sector compared to their rivals, but they actually believe that they've managed to mitigate that into a position where they're not too disadvantaged while still keeping the pace in sectors 1 and 3. Mercedes are showing great qualifying pace. It's been a feature over the second half of the season, Mercedes really being able to get their car working in the qualifying trim, but they've definitely been falling way in the races. And hopefully for them, they can have a strong race, but it all depends on how they can get their car working in this area. But let's go and see if Mercedes and the rest of the team can get their cars sorted for qualifying and the race for the Belgian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on guys, it is Foxydude here, welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of the F1 Journey. We're here for round 14 of the season. This is the Belgian Grand Prix, normally a track which features as the season finale, but not anymore. As you can see then, we're going to get straight into qualifying. If you've ever joined today's video, drop a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and let's get straight on with the race weekend then. So, first things first, Daniel Ricciardo sets the benchmark into the 1 minute 34s, and we can't even get into the 1 minute 35s, which is disappointing, but we always go for our banker lap here. Now, on my second flying lap here, we're currently doing really well. 4 tenths of a second up. As we go forward Pouin, we just get our wheel on the curb there, and that sends us spinning around. Luckily, we didn't go into the wall there, but a little bit of a scare, and it just means I'll have to be a little bit more cautious when I go through Pouin the next time around. But yeah, a little bit of a clumsy end there to that attempt at a final flying lap here. So now, as you can see, we're now on our last flying lap here. We're currently a second up on our previous best lap time. We're losing a little bit of time now as we go through this straight. So a couple of hundredths lost, maybe about a tenth now overall here, but we've still got a massive advantage here in hand, and we need it because we are currently last at the moment. As we go through the final chicane now, let's see how much time we can gain. It's about a second or so, but where does that put us? It puts us, I can't even see that. I think it was P14 only. Alright, so we're on the grid then here for the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a one-stop strategy. It's the soft to the medium compound tyres, and it was, we are in fact starting in P14, like I said, even though I couldn't see it earlier, but we've got 5 red lights, and it is lights out, and away we go then for the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's been a good getaway from us, actually, immediately getting past the Audi there, but he sends one up the inside into the first corner. Russell making a massive dive bomb there. I think it was Russell, it might have been Leclerc. One of the two there's made a massive dive bomb, and he's made it work, actually, for himself, unlike us, though, where we didn't quite make it work to the fullest extent. We have gained 2 places as we make a bit of contact there with one of the Jaguars, just double checking the front wing there, because we definitely made some contact as they broke very late, heading up towards Eau Rouge and Radion there. It was Lando Norris, because we've got his teammate Verstappen now that's trying to get it onto us, but unfortunately for me, I actually completely mistimed my braking. I'm going to have to go off the circuit here, and we get a warning for corner cutting, but Verstappen does indeed get the position there. If Verstappen didn't rejoin in front of me in all of that, I would have given the place to him, because he was technically going for a move when I made a mistake to keep the position. So yeah, luckily for us, Verstappen does indeed get the position, which is a bit annoying that we have to take a corner cutting warning for that. I know we cut all of the corner, but Verstappen got in front of us, so we actually lost time. But nevertheless, we're just going to have to get our head down now. We've gained 1 place off at the start, which is not brilliant, but it's not the end of the world. So we're in a good position, and we just need to press onwards now in this Grand Prix. Sam looks like he's leading out front. One of the Mercedes cars doing a fabulous job in second place. I think it's Vries, who tends to do well at the start of races and then sort of drop off a little bit as we now go through towards the end of the lap here, approaching Blanchimont now. This is where the AIs don't tend to use their battery, and as you can see, we are gaining a little bit now, gaining ever so much here on the Verstappen now in front of us. Can we go for a move here? Potentially on Verstappen. We're going to try it down the inside of Max Verstappen. That's going to go to the outside for the second phase of the chicane, but that's exactly what we need, and that is us now up into 12th place in this Grand Prix. But as we go in towards La Source here, can we have a look at Lando Norris? We are going to dive it down the inside of Lando Norris. He leaves the space, and it's a double overtake on the Jaguar cars. Really caught them both napping there in that stage of the Grand Prix. Looking at the race start though, let's see how things got on here. So as the lights go out here, it's a good start from a lot of drivers actually, including Sam, who needed a good start because he was of course starting on pole position in this race for us. We tried to send it down the inside, but Russell, I believe, was the man that absolutely sent it down the inside here as we then go side by side with Lando Norris here. This is on board with Stoffel Van Dorn here. Let's look at his start then. So as he gets off the line here, he gets a very nice start and gets in front of Lewis Hamilton, I think it is, straight away. So Lewis with yet another rough start. We've seen a lot of poor starts from the Ferraris as of late, and this is another one here. It's actually Carlos Sainz now that he's slipstreaming and dragging along with him down towards Eau Rouge here, and as you can see, Stoffel backs out of it, but it was Lewis Hamilton that Stoffel actually overtook here. So Hamilton got a bad start, Stoffel goes to the outside and makes the move stick, but Sainz then, as you can see, is going to send one up the inside here, and he's going to make the move not only on his teammate, but also on the Red Bull of Stoffel Van Dorn, and it's a nice bit of play from Carlos Sainz there. Back onto us though here, lap 3 of the Grand Prix now. We're currently in 11th place. We've gone fastest in the first sector, but luckily for us, we're not really dropping off with the rest of the fields here. Of course, at Italian Grand Prix, we're going to go down the inside here of Ricciardo. Another move there into La Source, as this time he leaves the door open just like everybody else. But as I was saying, in like the Italian Grand Prix last time around, we're not getting dropped off. We're on the same tyre compounds, of course, but crucially, we've got good pace here, and it's quite encouraging to see that, as we're going to try and set ourselves up against the Mercedes here now. As you can see, it's a great run through there, and crucially, the second Mercedes of De Vries is causing this train here, as we're now going to go down the inside of Sergio Perez in a quite easy move there against the Merc, and we're through now into, I believe that is 10th place now, so into the points. Next up is Charles Leclerc, our championship rival. Of course, Rhys is our second rival. We're not quite with him yet here, but we need to go Rouge and Radion down the Kennel straight now. Perez has kept himself quite comfy to the back of our car here. He might just go for a move here now as he opens up the DRS here. We've got DRS as well down the straight here. We've got more straight line speed than the Mercedes, but we're going to shove him a little bit closer to the inside apex there, and that just means that he doesn't have enough time to react and get back on to the racing circuit there properly, and it means then that he loses time through the Le Combe chicane, and that means that we stay in front of him. 9th place is ours now as we go on to lap 6. So you can see, look at the Merc in front there, De Vries, really costing some time here as one of the Ferraris is going to pit then and go early. That's going to put him onto the hard compound tyres most likely for the race here, but with everybody going so slowly at the moment behind the Merc, we're going to take advantage up the inside of Charles Leclerc into La Source. It's a lovely move there, and we're up in front of our main championship rival. Of course, Leclerc is the closest driver to us in the championship at this stage, and that's a big move for us in this Grand Prix. But going up Rouge and Radion once again though, Leclerc is going to be on the back of us just like Perez was in the Mercedes. Let's see what Leclerc does here. He's going to go towards the inside line. We're going to try and cover it off, but the Audi definitely got more straight line speed than what the Mercedes has, but we're going to go around the outside here of Leclerc, and we get the move done in the Le Combe chicane, confirming that move. Next up is his teammate Russell, as we take as much curve as we possibly can through there, and now we're going to set our sights on George Russell here, lap 7 of the Grand Prix. The pace is looking very good right now in this stage of the Grand Prix, as there are more drivers coming into the pits there. That's going to be either Hamilton or Sainz that's going to come in here on lap 7 of this Grand Prix, and that's going to free up a little bit of air now for the drivers to catch up to Nick De Vries, as we're going to send it down the inside on George Russell, and it's a lovely move once again into La Source, becoming our little overtaking spot of fun here as we get past him, and now we're onto the straight here towards La Source, and not La Source, Rouge and Radion here, and we're going to be in the same situation as we've been for the last 3 moves here. Perez couldn't make it stick, neither could Leclerc. Can Russell be the man to make it stick on us as we go down the straight here? Let's see if we can get close to Russell. Again, force him wide towards the inside line. We go a little bit wide ourselves here, but we cover the inside apex. Russell gets it a little bit wrong through the second phase of the comp. We survived that attack, and we're up into 5th place. As you can see, Van Dorn and also Rhys, that is, have caught up quite quickly to the back of De Vries there, as we now coming into the pits here on lap 8 of the Grand Prix. Everyone is coming to the pits, bar Sam out front. So clearly, Red Bull tried to do something different and allow Stoffel Van Dorn to get in front, but unfortunately that hasn't worked, and he's going to have to wait and hopefully get a better pit stop than De Vries. Otherwise, De Vries is going to come back out in front of him here. So let's see now as we go on to a set of the medium compound tyres. What are the other drivers going to do though? Will anyone switch to the hard compound tyres? Crucially though, De Vries has got out in front here. De Vries then on the hard tyres. Van Dorn's gone onto the mediums. Rhys has gone onto the hards. We've gone onto the set of the mediums. We've got one of the Audis that looks like Leclerc that's actually undercut us then in this race. So Charles Leclerc, a man that we overtook earlier in the Grand Prix, has now made an undercut work on us. So we're going to have to get back past him later on in this race. But here on lap 9 now of the Grand Prix here, we're now watching on boards here with Van Dorn, who's trying to chase after De Vries and go for it nice and quickly, because the Ferrari of Sainz has also made that undercut work. So De Vries has to defend here against Van Dorn, but Van Dorn needs to get past De Vries here, because he could try and make this a Red Bull 1-2. This would be perfect for him in terms of his Grand Prix and Red Bulls here. But as they try and dive it through for us though, there we are in the background, Leclerc under pressure from Russell, as we actually get past Leclerc in that little scrap. We're concentrating now on this battle here, as we concentrate very much on can Van Dorn get in front of De Vries. They're still side by side here. They're going to take this attack to Rouge now and Radion, and let's see if anyone's going to back out. No one backs out through Rouge and Radion. De Vries actually gains a bit of time through there, surprisingly. Now who's going to get the DRS? Both of them do, because they've got Carlos Sainz in front. So De Vries gets it off Sainz, Van Dorn gets it off De Vries. Down the straight here, there's nothing between them. They're both using their battery to the fullest of extent. Le Combe chicane coming up next. Will any of them get separated? No, they're still going to go side by side here. This is brilliant action from Nick De Vries and Stoffel Van Dorn. Van Dorn now is going to go around the outside here of De Vries. Can he make this one stick this time around? No, through no name. Can Van Dorn hold on? De Vries is holding on just as much as possible. They're going to make this go towards Pouon Dorn now. Who's going to come out on top? Round the outside goes De Vries. Van Dorn, though, takes the inside line. Stoffel Van Dorn wins the battle. He's through and up into 4th place now as we sit on behind here, watching this battle unfold as we now try and get ourselves in the act here. Van Dorn has got the position, so we now know that we've got to make this move on Rhys, who's on the hard tyres, crucially, remember. So too is De Vries, because we've got to keep in touch with Van Dorn. Van Dorn's our target, specifically because he's on the medium compound tyres. These guys on the hards are struggling for pace. We saw that with Charles Leclerc, and we can see it right here now because we've got a lot of straight line speed here, literally pushing the McLaren now to get on with it in this Grand Prix as they go for a move now. Will Rhys go for it? We can't quite go for it in the bus stop down the inside. Doesn't matter because we'll go around the outside instead, claim the inside line, open up the throttle to allow a little bit of movement towards that side of the circuit. Rhys then loses out, and we're now going to go for a move here on De Vries. Down the inside we go on Nick De Vries. That is a great move there, and we're up into 5th place in this Grand Prix, and so far we're having an absolutely storming race in this Belgian Grand Prix. We just need to keep it going as we press onwards now in this position here, going up the hill now. Let's see if that Mercedes has got the DRS, because if he does, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to defend the position. And he does have DRS here, so De Vries will try and come back at us now in this Grand Prix. Nick De Vries is going to make his move towards the outside line of the circuit. We're going to have to try and defend that as best as we possibly can. We do so, but we've lost the rear end on the curb ever so slightly. That's going to cost us. We've been hit by another car. We've gone straight into the wall, and that is the race done and dusted. We are out of the Belgian Grand Prix in just a matter of moments. That is disastrous for us in this Grand Prix. Let's have a look at this again though. So we go through, we've lost the back end here on the curb. We've then been hit by Sergio Perez, and that's put us straight into the tyre barriers. We are out of the Grand Prix. This is what it looked like on board. So there is us losing the car on the curb, and then we come on through, and then we just take that tap, and there wasn't enough time on the grass with the speed that I was going to recover it, and we've gone straight into the wall, and unfortunately that is game over. We are out of the Belgian Grand Prix, and that is a massive, massive blow for our aspirations of winning the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. Let's go ahead then and look at the race results for the Belgian Grand Prix. So it was Sam that headed the field and won the Belgian Grand Prix by only 5.9 seconds over Rhys, but in the end, Sam led from light to flag. Lewis Hamilton picked up a podium yet again for Ferrari, finishing in 3rd, over 10 seconds behind, but nonetheless getting a podium as Van Dorn recovers and fights to claim P4 in this race, with Carlos Sainz finishing in 5th and Charles Leclerc crossing the line to finish in P6 for Audi. Then it's Lando Norris for Jaguar finishing in P7, with Daniel Ricciardo claiming 8th for the 2nd McLaren. George Russell finishing in P9, with Max Verstappen crossing the line to finish in P10 for Jaguar. Lewis Hamilton picked up the fastest lap of the race in this event with a 1 minute 37.394, meaning he does get that extra bonus point, meaning instead of the 15 points, he grabs himself 16 points. Looking at the second half of the table now, and you can see that Gasly just missed out on the top 10 in P11 with Sergio Perez. A disappointing race actually for him at Mercedes in 12th place, with Bottas and Hülkenberg next for the 2 Porsche cars, followed by the 2 Ford cars of Mick Schumacher and Callum Ilott. Closely followed then by the 2 Aston Martin cars of Robert Schwartzman and Oscar Piastri, and then it is just Nick De Vries and myself that did not finish this race. Of course, I DNF'd via my crash. I think De Vries DNF'd because of my crash, but I can't remember if he carried on and then DNF later in the race. But yeah, both of us crashing out of this Belgian Grand Prix. So what did that do to the Drivers' Championship? Because of course, we were leading the Drivers' Championship, but this is going to make things a lot closer. And as you can see, it is certainly a hell of a lot closer now. You can see that we're on 190 points at the top of the championship, with Charles Leclerc sitting in 2nd place, but he is now just 7 points back in the championship. He's on 183 points for Audi. Rhys is 3rd in the championship on 170 points, and he himself has closed up in this championship battle now, just 20 points back from ourselves as we move into the final few races of the season. Lando Norris is 4th in the championship on 153 points. He is now 37 points back, I believe, if my maths is correct, in the championship. Sam, with that victory for him, moves on to 139 points. He's still a long way off in this championship, but he still has the potential to try and clinch it if things go awfully wrong for me in the final few races. Lewis Hamilton is on 120 points. Stoffel Van Dorn is on 85 points, with Sainz closing the gap now. He's on 83 points, getting closer to the back of that Red Bull driver. Verstappen is on 58 points, while George Russell lies on 57 points. The next event is the Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix. And then looking at the Constructors' Championship now, that Constructors' Championship has also closed dramatically. It is 244 points to Renault's name, but they're now 4 points clear of Audi, who are on 240 points. Then it is McLaren and Red Bull that are both tied for 224 races. Both teams overtake Jaguar. So despite the fact that Norris and Verstappen both scored points, they didn't score enough points, and that meant that both McLaren and Red Bull, with their strong results, overtook them with Ferrari on 203 points. It just goes to show that these 6 teams are giving it everything in both championships, and it is nip and tuck as there is only 41 points covering the top 6. Mercedes sit comfortably in P7 with 56 points. Ford are on 21 points, with Aston Martin having 2 points and Porsche stuck with just the 1 point. But let's go straight into the post-race notebook and get all of the reaction from what is an eventful and title-twisting race here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As we look at the post-race notebook then after the Belgian Grand Prix, it was Sam who was back to his best with a comfortable win here for Red Bull. Sam has been on a bad run of form as of late, but he was able to put that behind him with a comfortable victory here in Belgium. Rhys managed to fight his way back through the field in the second stint with a very solid P2 finish, with Lewis Hamilton in Ferrari claiming 3rd place. But all of the drama was with Tom and Renault, as he cost himself a great opportunity to go further clear in the Drivers' Championship with a crucial DNF. Nick de Vries was left angry after the Grand Prix, as Tom's mistake meant that de Vries was involved in the collision, which left Tom DNFing from the Grand Prix, de Vries later retiring from the race. Tom admits that this clumsy mistake is going to cost him the Formula 1 World Drivers' Championship. Tom believes that the team doesn't quite have the car to face and fight for the Formula 1 World Championship, and he said that his buffer that he had was something that he needs to keep very preciously, and he hasn't done so. Charles Leclerc is not getting ahead of himself after Tom's DNF. Leclerc now just sits 7 points back from Tom with multiple races still to go. The Audi car is definitely faster than the Renault, but Leclerc says he needs to keep his feet on the ground, as at any specific time he too could have a DNF, and that could allow Tom to re-extend his championship lead. But that is it here for the Belgian Grand Prix. It is a big twist in the title race. Let's see where it goes as we now head to the American part of our Formula 1 tour. For now, guys, I'm out. Take care all.